All right, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's a great pleasure to have great minds here on another edition of the Green Talk with EdenWorld Initiative. For those joining us for the first time, EdenWorld is an NGO, is an international NGO, and of course, we have our headquarters based in Nigeria, and then we are into climate change advocacy, forestry education, and also building a sustainable environment. So it's a great pleasure to have great minds from the Society of American Foresters join us in this edition. And then for the sake of the people joining us, what we shall be discussing today, and of course it's afternoon here in Nigeria, it's 3 p.m. in Nigeria, and I know in the Eastern time, EST, it's like 9 a.m. All right, so we'll be discussing behavioral change, enhancing youth opportunities for participation in forestry and natural resources conservation action. So, one of the things we'll be doing today will be to get motivation from the great people we have on board. You know, we have Jean, who is a great personality as far as forestry is concerned in America. He was the former president of the Society of American Foresters. We have Terry, who is the CEO. He's a great person. I met him at the last SAF conference in Washington, and as well we have Sam, who is also a great personality as far as forestry issues is concerned. And of course, Sam is the current vice president of the Society of American Foresters. So it's a great pleasure to have you on board. And I would like to introduce to us Temi, who is a co-founder at EdenWorld Initiative, and she'll be hosting this event. Temi, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Olaoluwa. So, can I proceed right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you may be. My name is Temitope Abisoye, and today I will be your host. Going by today's topic, I would like to talk about the sustainability in forest management. We all know that the role of youth is non-negotiable when we talk about forest protection and restoration, and this means that whatever decision that will be carried out, both for present and future generation, we need active youth in the process. So I would like to talk about, my first question will be addressed to Terry. Please, can you please brief us on what SAF is all about, your objective? I'm sure you've had a huge experience in the professional journey, and there's some challenges you might have gone through that you would love to motivate youth to be able to take significant impact. So can you tell us how SAF actually bridge this gap and your experience so far, and what you would like youth out there to know about SAF for them to be motivated in making a significant impact out there?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Timmy. So my name is Terry Baker. I'm the CEO of the Society of American Foresters, and SAF for short. And what I would like to share about the organization, there's so many things to share, and we do quite a few things within the space of forestry and natural resources. And primarily, we're a professional association, so we have individual members who come together around the topic of forestry and natural resources and their experiences, and that sense of community to be able to support each other. Within that, there's a lot that we do related to education and support of professionals, and also advocating for the profession as a whole. And so in particular, the scientific sustainable management of our forests. And so I'll add, just talk a little bit about some of our programming, and so you have a little bit of an idea of what that's like, and then I'll share a little bit of my story and how that connects to SAF as well. So we cover a lot of ground as a nonprofit here in the United States. So we accredit forestry programs and natural resource programs, and also urban forestry programs. So what that means is we actually work with our university partners, with representatives from industry, and we set the standards for what it means to have a forestry education here in the United States. And that is a massive partnership, and a very, very important piece for us is that we do look at it from a fair and balanced standpoint to say that this is what it means, that if someone goes through one of our accredited programs, they can step into the professional world and be able to do the baseline work, but also have the theoretical understanding of how they can apply their passion and value of natural resources. Um, we also have two peer-reviewed scientific journals, and so again, opportunities for technical transfer for those who are working in the research community to be able to publish their findings in peer-reviewed literature, both nationally and internationally. And so, a way to just really share and promote, what research is going on within the forestry profession and how important that is to get that out to various audiences. Um, in addition to that, we also have a certification program. So for individuals who are practicing forestry, there's the ability to have a professional certification, our certified forester program. Again, this is that same piece of setting the standard of what it means to practice forestry, and that you have a commitment to continuing education to understand and know that what we understand about forest today is not necessarily what we'll understand about forest tomorrow. And so there's so much to gain and learn over the course of one's career. So the commitment to that continuing education and growth to be able to provide the best advice to a potential landowner or to a policymaker about what it means to promote forests and to manage them in a way that is sustainable. Um, and then last but not least, I'll share that we also are an advocacy organization. So really that piece of how do we, play the role as one of the voices of forestry, forest management, from that scientific base and from that sustainability base, not promoting a particular product or fully preservation. There's an understanding that for us as professionals, there's no one size fits all when it comes to looking at our forested landscapes and how we manage those and support those. So there may be places that we don't actively manage, or maybe places that we actively manage, and there's going to be plenty of places in between. So as an organization, we engage policymakers with that conversation. We engage various partners around that as well. And that is just one of the, some of the exciting pieces about being involved in SAF, is that we touch so many parts and places because there's so much going on around our forests, obviously. And so as they make more and more of a place of being, at the forefront of conversations, especially as a climate solution, it's something that we are excited to step in that space and engage various partners to carry the message. So that's as quick and simple as an explanation I can give around SAF. For me personally, I like to say that I ended up stumbling into this profession. I didn't know the profession existed. And, when I found it, I knew I'd found something that truly resonated with my passions and my values, growing up in a fairly, rural area in the southeastern United States. And so the more that I did within this profession, the more I enjoyed. And probably about the middle of my time at my undergraduate institution, I joined the Society of American Foresters. And, it was that whole piece of truly kind of finding that connection, finding that community, finding folks who are experiencing some similar things that I experienced, one being my parents having no idea what in the world I was trying to do with my life. And so just having folks that I could talk with that about and grow and learn and see what opportunities were available to me as a student looking to be a professional in this arena. So I truly do credit SAF with being a big part of my career. I managed federal lands here in the United States for the better part of 20 years before stepping into this role as this chief executive officer of our professional society. So very, very strong ties to being a part of an organization like this and what it can mean for myself and for others. And with that, I think I've spoken quite enough this morning to kick things off, but thank you so much for the question and the chance to talk with folks.
Thank you, Terry. I mean, that it's amazing to learn about your experience in the journey and how SAF is actually playing a significant role. And I quite understand that, when we talk about research, there's a difference between doing research and putting research into practice. And I see that SAF is doing amazingly here, and also, playing the role of advocacy, education, and making kind of like giving contribution to landowners, which is actually quite significant. And talking about forestry as a profession, I think, maybe Olaoluwa will say the same thing. A lot of us let me say we're given forestry. We didn't choose forestry. We found ourselves there. And I know that there who actually found themselves in forestry as well. And most of them are yet to figure out their purpose in this sector. I mean, it takes a lot of consistency and you connecting yourself to several organizations to actually find a goal or what you really want to make out of this career. So my next question will go to I would like to know, because I understand that you have a whole lot of experience being the past president of SAF. You've actually gone through lots of projects, lots of activities in forestry, and probably you've engaged with youths in most cases. And I'm sure that there's something out there probably that you wish you had known, and then you would want the current generation at the moment to know from your experience. So we would love you to share your experience, challenges, and probably some motivation for us to learn in this field.
Okay, thank you, Timmy. And I'd like just maybe add on to what Terry was saying about SAF and what it means to me. Um, Over the past couple of years, 2 years of being an officer, I've come to think of SAF being the founder and face of forestry. When Gifford Pinchot and others started the organization, it was the founder, and now it's become the face of forestry. Terry mentioned advocacy. SAF represents us to government as well as the public, and it gives us opportunities to meet. Last week I was with it was called the Southeastern SAF, and a couple weeks before that, we were all actually with the Appalachian group, which is another 3 states around South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and it gives us networking opportunities, the opportunity to do what we're doing today in person or virtually. So it's a very strong way to keep us all involved and support each other. As far as my journey, I'm a little bit similar to Terry in that I grew up with the love of the outdoors here in South Carolina, a small town adjacent to a rural area, and I just always loved nature and the outdoors and animals and trees and everything, the water, and did not know what forestry was per se. And I met a few people that I shared the outdoors and hunting experiences with who were involved in sawmilling and logging and those sorts of things. And I knew just enough about it to know that it was out there somewhere. And I had the opportunity to go to college as first in my family to actually graduate from college. So I didn't have anybody in my family to help me with that. But I was blessed that my mom had enough foresight to get a loan from a local bank and get me into college that first semester. And then I found forestry there, just very blessed to find it, and flourished ever since. It's just been a major part of my life and allowed me to work and take care of my focal areas of God, family, and country. Forestry has allowed me to do that. So I worked almost 30 years in industrial forestry, uh, growing wood and getting wood for mills to make products, and a lot in land transactions and land for individuals as well as land for industry, and working in that area for a little while. And then I became the South Carolina State Forester in 2008 and did that for 10 years. That was quite an eye opener too, because I was much like SAF, it's all over the country. So I got the opportunity to get to know people all over the state and all over the country, and visit areas all over the country and see how things are done here. That was very helpful to me and very meaningful. And then retired from there and started working I live on a tree farm on my own, and that's where my house is. So I enjoy doing that here, spend more time with my family, and continue to try to give back to what's enabled me and my family to have a wonderful life and career, which is forestry and the outdoors. So I still participate in a lot of organizations. Your EdenWorld is a pretty unique name. I suspect you founders came up with that, but I think it's well named in that, to me, one of my forestry friends, Carlton Owen, said forestry was the first profession because Adam and Eve were given the task of taking care of all the plants and animals, and that's what we continue to do. So we'll strive to do that and try to make it better for future generations.
Thank you very much, Jane. I mean, it has been amazing to have learned about your career, how you've combined your life and career together. And I must say that you've actually embraced a selfless journey because you actually put the future generation into consideration, and then you're doing all of these activities. And okay, let me make reference to with my experience. Majorly, let me say I do much of conservation education and advocacy with youths and young minds at the secondary school and primary school. So for most people, during my encounter, we try to encourage forestry as a profession, and a lot of them make most of their challenges as actually being the career prospects. Like, okay, if I get to study forestry, what is the career prospect for me studying forestry? And I've actually found some people, even here in South Africa, a lot of people will say, okay, forestry and related field is for the poor people. So my next question is to Sam. Like, would you say that there have been much participation by youth so far with your experience and exposure at SAV? Would you say that youth have been participating on a high level? And if yes, like how have you been able to do this? How have you been able to motivate youth participation for them to be able to see the future in forestry?
Thanks for the question, Temp, and appreciate the opportunity to be here with everyone this morning. Good to see you, Gene and Terry. It's funny you say for poor people. Grew up poor. I came from a small community such as Terry described, and not as much clear about Gene's where he grew up, but I know for sure that forestry came through poor communities because trees are grown in rural areas. I have a dad that worked prior to me getting out of school in a paper mill. I had a brother worked in a sawmill. I had no idea that forestry was even a career.
Yeah.
I got involved just by my sister taking me to Tuskegee, where the Forest Service provided an opportunity to get more foresters plugged in, more students plugged in to forestry as a career path. I got out there and I said, all I want to do is climb a fire tower, ride a horse, and wear a big hat. Had no idea that forestry is what it is today. So I came out of school in 1979. I went to Tuskegee, finished there in 82, came to NC State into the accredited program, is what we offer today, that's accredited by SAF. But I look at the opportunity for students today that we offer this to them, but we got to do a better job of selling it. I think we have a great pathway for students right now. SAF, from my involvement, I started as a student in 1982 when I came to NC State. I knew about it at Tuskegee, but I was never one to participate in it until I got here. Because of all the student chapters that we have across the U.S. at each one of our land grant universities that have a forestry program, we have what we call timber sports, which is rodeo in most schools. We have what we call quiz bowls, Jeopardy, lots of things that students take, they participate in, they compete with each other, but it gets them to learn the network of foresters out here in their communities, but across the U.S. as a whole. I had no idea until I started back with SAF in 2012 about the working groups that SAF offers. One being the one around diversity, equity, inclusion. I see more participation of youth in that, youth and young professionals in that environment when I go to conferences and district meetings, because people are engaged or increasing diversity within our profession. SAF offers a Young Professionals Award. We also offer up this is our second year, inviting a young professional to serve on our national board. Students want to be involved, but students want something to do. We need to change our behavior of what we used to do, which is get you to represent, just show up and don't open your mouth. Now we see a different pathway for students. Get them on committees, have them get involved in leading things, but also let them do things that they like to do and allow them to express themselves in ways that we haven't been able to do in the past. I will go and talk about careers. You mentioned that as beyond the study of forestry. No matter what degree program option a student chooses, the typical ones such as forest management, forest biology, urban forestry, watershed management, or other natural resource related disciplines, SAF job is to accreditate those disciplines. to get students geared into our profession. But I want to say that what we don't do enough of is sharing what other prospective job opportunities or careers that are out there. I'll speak or I'll tell you about 8 of them. One is natural resource management and urban forestry. Pretty clear that we need people in the urban communities to help urban communities grow, manage the trees that they have to offer. But I deal with a lot of communities, especially rural and small towns, that have forest land, such as I'm right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm an asset manager for our college. I manage 10 properties, representing close to 100,000 and some acres. One of my properties is right here in the heart of Raleigh, North Carolina, 350 acres. So I have to think about it as an urban forest. I have to participate with people that see it as their backyard, their park. But most importantly, kids love it. They get to play in it. So I have to wear many hats when I'm sitting in my position as a forester. Ecosystem science and sustainability is another avenue and another pathway for students. Fish, wildlife, and conservation biology. So I work in the College of Natural Resources. We oversee 3 departments, one being forestry, fish, and wildlife, the other being parks, recreation, management, and tourism. Our third one is sustainable and biomaterials. All 3 blossom from what we used to call forestry, pulp and paper, and wood products. Had nothing to do with let's talk about it as a forestry degree or pulp and paper, but at the end of the day, it spoke to careers. Now, all those careers, you can get a degree and you can do many things underneath the degree. So we think about geoscience, restoration ecology, conservation scientists, environmental scientists and specialists. I talked about parks and recreation rangers. An ability to identify plants under that really helps students to learn what there are opportunities to engage in this career. So now you spend another question about how do we engage? Throughout my career, I spent a lot of time working with not only students, but with landowners. And what I found that both are about the same. If we don't go to communities and spend time where people live and engage them in what's reality, we will never get students to participate in this career. Because I went back and reflected on how I grew up and what I had to learn to get into the career. If it wasn't for someone taking me to get involved in the opportunity, I would probably still be at home thinking about what do I want to do. And I'm 61 years old. So SAF was a big opportunity for me to learn more about forestry, but it allowed me to really expand my network to the point that I know people all over the US. I work with people in many professions around this space, but it gives us another lens to say, I can get a degree in forestry, but here are the many careers that I can take on and see what are the opportunities and share with others. So when I go into communities, I'm not only talking to the landowners as it relates to managing their land, I'm talking about what are the next generation coming up behind them and how do we help them see. One, is there a pathway for them to get in the job force, in the career force, but also not everyone is designed for college. And forestry is not to say you need to go to college. Forestry is to say we need to help you understand what's growing on the land and how you can help benefit and help the community grow and bring an asset back to the families that own it.
Thank you very much, Sam. I mean, it's good to have picked out the role of networking in this career prospect play huge potential and how SAF has been playing an important role in accreditation and good to learn about the career prospect. Jean, I would like to ask you a question. And okay, I would like to talk about beyond studying forestry. A lot of youth want to get involved in on-ground projects. I mean, there's a huge difference between the online advocacy and awareness and all of this. But when we talk about communication on the ground, that is where we see the real change we want in the society. So, and a lot of youths need motivation and actually probably resources, yeah, to implement their projects one way or the other. Do you think SAF has anything to offer through motivation or through financing, like a grant or further opportunities for youth to be able to make impact on the ground project?
Yes, excuse me. Sam mentioned several programs that we have that affect youth. Um, and that's primarily, as I see it, at the college level, like the student executive committee and a representative who sits on our board. We have a young professional that participates in our board, and we're looking at ways for them to have a more refined group behind them, so it's not just one person sitting on the board. They'll have a group that they can feed upon and get input from and participate with. And if you back up a little bit further, again, you're into what we call high school here, or grade school, maybe there where you folks are. But there's the large opportunity, because children in teenage years, I think, are making their decisions as to what careers might be of interest to them, what might interest them going forward. So we need some sort of mechanism to feed back into that. And I suspect that's, Terry, you might speak to this, but I suspect that probably goes back to chapter activities with local units. If that's going to happen, where I've seen it happen is at the local unit level. We have state societies, Timmy, multi-state societies in the U.S., and then within each state you would have chapters that would be portions of a state, and they get involved a lot in local activities. And I've seen some of them. I personally have gone and taken forestry books to grade schools, and I know foresters that grow and they read books on forestry and outdoors and conservation to those youngsters. As Terry and Sam said, I believe that it gives them the opportunity to see the world in a bigger way and know that forestry is not just for poor people. Of course, I think me, Terry, and Sam would probably be classified as poor back in the day, but we might have been poor financially, but we were very wealthy from a family standpoint, and being able to have the outdoors and the opportunities we have in South Carolina and in the United States. So we're not poor from that respect. But if we get out there and talk to those youngsters that are in high school and middle school that are really thinking about careers, and all they're hearing about is how to be an attorney or a doctor or an engineer, they may hear those three things. They really need to hear about opportunities to have connections to the outdoors, which affects everybody. All the economics of life, the social aspects of life, the environmental aspects of life, and taking care of the environment like EdenWorld attempts to do. I really grasped onto that word, salvaging the nature. I saw that written. And I think as we think about words and what they mean, to me, what you're saying is conserving, which is wise use of our nature and taking care of it for the future. So if we can get into those younger age groups, when I say younger, pre-college, where they've already made a decision, they're somewhere, or maybe give those youngsters an aspiration to seek to go to college. They may have never even thought about it, or a tech school, or some sort of career in college. Maybe it's harvesting timber, maybe it's planting trees, or applying herbicides or whatever to help them grow. It's all soils, whatever it might be. I think we need to start a little bit earlier than college, because most of them have made a decision. Is that what you were asking, Timmy?
Yes, you did answer my question. But I would also, I think probably I didn't get something. It's good to learn about what you've said. And one of my question is actually addressed to maybe for NGO. Yeah, we have a lot of NGO, we have lots of youth into tree planting, education, and let me say restoration project at large. I would like to know like what effort is SAF putting in place to encourage our restoration activities on the ground project. And to make it clear, like, do you have any form of maybe funding competition? And maybe like yes to because okay, one of the IUCN event that I attended, yeah, someone once said that um, everything, if you have a plan, a list of plans you want to implement on the ground, without funding, it's just a piece of paper. So I would like to know if there is any opportunities regarding the aspect from SAF.
Sure, I can jump in and help with that a little bit, Gene. So great question and concept. So for us, a few things that we end up doing as an organization, we do have some funding. So in particular, we have what we call the Foresters Fund, and more so than anything else, the Foresters Fund goes to help with supporting our members and engaging their communities and various organizations to bring in people and showcase the importance of forestry. So not so much, I think, completely in line with what you're thinking about for NGOs and looking for funding for projects, but for instance, we partner with a lot of organizations that do fund those types of projects. So we work with various organizations that may have, like the Arbor Day Foundation, and they have grants and they contribute trees to various groups that are trying to go out and do projects like this to help with reforestation activities or things of that nature. And so it's a mix of how that rolls out for us. So oftentimes we really operate more in the information sharing space, but then at times a lot of our chapters, like Gene mentioned, will have local events and things like that. Well, they'll bring their expertise to projects where folks are looking at going out and doing a tree planting or teaching youth about various programs and opportunities. We'll lend our expertise and knowledge base to that. But we do work with a lot of organizations that get involved in some of those very straightforward, like let's go plant some trees, let's go do not so much from an SAF perspective, but go out and help with a prescribed burn or help plan a prescribed burn with a nonprofit. A lot of our members are engaged in those types of things and just to actively engage with that work. But absolutely, there's various organizations that look to fund those types of efforts nationally, internationally. Many of them we partner with, and like I mentioned, lend our expertise to. So not so much direct funding on the ground projects, but it can happen sometimes.
Oh, thank you very much, Terry, for the explanation, and Jean, thank you very much. And I would say that you're doing amazingly great at SAP, because even the award goes a long way. It's a form of motivation for you to know that they are making an impact out there. I mean, it's encouraged and keeps letting us know that you're not just working, you're making a huge effort. It's more like the forest restoration heroes. That's just the way I see it. So thank you very much for your time. Now I'm going to hand over back to Olaoluwa to continue.
All right. Thank you so much. Can you hear me, Temi?
Yes, perfectly.
All right. Thank you so much, Jean. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Sam. We are so honored to have you on board. Thank you for always motivating us. And thank you for all you do too. I was saying the other time that the last time we met was at a SAF conference. And it was really a great time with every one of you. And I must sincerely appreciate you for motivating our audience and for sharing some other opportunities that SAP offers with them. And then on behalf of our co-founders, okay, before going to that, let me see if we have any question. Before going to that, pardon me, please. Do we have any question from our audience? Okay, we have Dr. Mohammed Madni is joining us. He said he's joining from Pakistan. All right. Okay. We also have some other people joining online. Please, if you have any question, you can drop it or drop them. I can assure you that all your questions will be attended to.
Okay, before the question, let me quickly chip. I want to ask Terry, concerning the award, I'm sure a lot of people are listening online. So when do you think the next application will be out?
For
the Gregory Award, I know that one is on presently, but you can talk more on that.
Sure thing. Actually, it may. I'll have to double check. So a quick explanation for folks. We have the Gregory Award program, which thankfully, a former member and his family invested some dollars with SAF to create opportunities for international students to participate in a national SAF convention. The past couple of years, we've accepted multiple scholars, and it's for current students or I believe early career professionals as well. I'll have to double check. We'll see what the application looks like this year. but we've accepted multiple because we've been online. So this year we're planning on being back in person in Baltimore, Maryland. So we're hopeful to bring someone in for that, and just a chance for those scholars to engage some, our students, our professionals, and gather a broader understanding of what forestry looks like here in the U.S. That application will likely be out, maybe out today, but within the next week or so, we'll have the application out for folks who are interested in that opportunity. A great program, and excited to be able to provide that funding and that opportunity for folks to connect to SAF, connect to professional forestry here in the U.S. From various countries, and so looking forward to the next folks, our next scholar, for our next award winner, and their ability to hopefully come and join us in person.
Okay, thank you
So
very
the
much.
deadline is March 15th.
There you go.
Yeah.
Looks like it's up. I haven't had a chance to look just yet, so plan beat me to it.
Yeah, it is posted.
All right. I just hope maybe some of us can join you guys in Baltimore by September, I think. Yeah, hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully. I just hope some of us can join you there. Some of us missed the opportunity to join in Washington this year because of COVID and some other restrictions. However, we sincerely appreciate what you are doing, and then we tend to get more from you. All right. Okay. Thank you, Sam, for sending that link. Thank you so much for sending that. All right. Can we have the passing shot from you? Okay. Let's start from Sam. Passing words. Maybe if you have any sort of motivation for Africans. Yeah. For Africans, then we have a lot of audience joining from Africa, Nigeria, and some other countries. Do you have any final words for them, Sam? Let's start from
Yeah.
you.
For me, I would say get involved with natural resource professions across the U.S., including your country. Understand what you can do to support the profession within your area of living. But most importantly, engage your families and ensure that they know that this is a career path. Speak to them about what the opportunities, learn about the opportunities, and help others that may not be in this space to know more about it. We need the whole world to be involved in what we're doing as a professional. Our whole entire job is to protect our natural resources. And guess what? They are all over the world.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Okay, Terry, passing words from you.
Sure. I'll pick up where Sam left off. I think the piece that I would really like to share with everyone is, this is your opportunity. One of the most important things that I've learned over the course of my career is this field, this profession is your opportunity to give something, beyond yourself, and really to look at your role and your and I often say your role and your responsibility, and not just caring for these lands and what they mean to everyone, but the overall health of the planet. And oftentimes we don't necessarily want to put ourselves out in front and take pride in that, but we really should. And so this is really an opportunity for you to step into this space, know that it's truly important work that you're doing, and know that there are opportunities, and there are so many. And so take some pride in that, and have fun with that. Oftentimes I tell students here in the States, one of the most exciting things that I've learned being in forestry is we get paid to go places people pay to go. And do really important work. And so that's something that I just ask folks to really consider, and really think that, it's often lost. Folks believe that, as you mentioned, Timmy, that piece of engaging in online activism and discussions around forestry and natural resources, and the ability to go out and do something on the ground to understand how these systems work and how they can help people, not only from the services that they provide, but the economic benefit that's associated with them, and how you reach that balance is truly one of the most interesting dynamics that we get to work in, and how we find that balance. So with that, I just say to folks, be bold, step into this, have fun with it, learn as much as you can, and do what we oftentimes think of from our founder, Gifford Pinchot, from 122 years ago, do the greatest good for the largest number over the long run. So thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Terry. All right. Let's go to Jean. Your passing word.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for what you do, because we in our space, we do need leaders, people who will step up and step out. We tend to be people who like to work in the forest and don't want to talk to people, but that won't last you very long. You got to talk to people. You got to interact with people, and locally as well as worldwide. So thank you for this opportunity to participate. The I've been doing some reading and things about leadership and leadership skills. You folks um, really set a good example because a leader is someone who will step in and make a difference. You talked about behavioral change, and then you explained a little bit, Alair Luai, what you meant by that. But the leadership is not just turning the crank to get something done. You're actually stepping out to make something and get things done through others that will last forever. The Iroquoian uh, Native Americans here talked about trying every decision should be thought of with respect to 7 generations beyond you, which is, I mean, that's the way we like to think in forestry because we won't be here to see some of the things that we've done, and we can always try to make things better, whether it be the forest or our society. And I rely a lot on Gifford Pinchot, just like Terry does, for some baseline things. And he talked about the vast possibilities that we can realize, being optimistic. We're responsible for the future as well as today. And Winston Churchill was another one that I admire with the things that he was talking about. He said, as an optimist, we see opportunities in every challenge. A pessimist will see difficulties in every challenge. And that's what I would encourage you folks to do. Continue to be leaders, continue to talk about forestry and the opportunities outdoor, not just forestry per se, but all natural resources. And it affects everybody. So we need to be out there out front and not the quiet ones in the back of the room.
All right, thank you, Jane. Okay, before we draw the curtains for today's event, definitely I know we can further this collaboration between EdenWorld Initiative and SAF. Terry, I'll send you an email afterwards to see how we can further our collaboration as an organization here in Nigeria, Africa. I know we have lots of things to do together, and also in bringing opportunities to folks here, and also some other things, some other projects that could be done here in Africa. So Terry, I will message you right after this event. Then we'll talk more on how we can further collaborate, and also beyond collaboration, we can see how we can schedule talks like this. We can get to have resource persons from SAF to our events here. I think some of these things are possible. Then we need to just plan and see how to work them out. Yeah. So tell me, passing words from you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Either what majorly our activities are focused on education, which is knowledge sharing, awareness and advocacy, and also we do green restoration, that is restoration across several ecosystems. We don't just focus on forest, we move both on terrestrial and marine. We understand the relevance of connectivity in several ecosystems, but majorly we work in restoration of degraded landscape. And we've been doing this. We've also been able to influence national local policy because we understand the role that policy has to play in restoration. It doesn't matter what you're doing if the policy does not support the implementation, it's going to be a waste of time. So this is what we have actually been advocating for and building capacity among youth. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for the participation. Thank you for making today a significant impact. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Jane. And we will definitely keep in touch. And thank you to all our online guests today. We appreciate your time. And this event will surely be shared. This is recorded on YouTube, stream live on YouTube. So, and we're also going to write like a web story from this event and to be able to reach a broader audience. So thank you very much. I remain my humble self, Temitope Abisoi.
You're very
All
welcome.
right, thank you.
Thank y'all, and
Yeah,
you need to come to
thank
Nigeria
you so much.